today I want to just welcome everybody. My name's Sasha Basho. I'm the chair for Sim Women for the Portland chapter. And we're really excited to be having a conversation with Andrea today. And basically the conversation around really embracing adversity and being stronger for it. So for those of you that have had the pleasure of meeting her in the past, you know that she's quite a force. So to the fact that she could be caught off guard and is willing to share that story with us and really, be transparent of what that journey looked like for her in her career. I feel very honored to be having this conversation. So Andrea, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
A quick note on Sim Women. Sim Women is an extension of the Sim organization, which is Society of Information Managers. It is intentionally designed to try and diversify our membership. So as part of our program, we run this lunch series where we have interesting conversations with people that are willing to share their journeys on topics that I think most of us are very curious about or may have run into ourselves. So on that note, we're going to move right into the program. Vic, if you wouldn't mind moving forward, thanks. So Andrea joins us. For those of you that don't know her background, she is the Vice Provost and CIO at Oregon State University. She has over 20 years as an executive leader, basically in the higher ed space, but prior to that, she was in financial services and had quite a run there. She's held a variety of executive titles and has worked for the last 20 years really for these three institutions, which is Oregon State University, Louisiana State, and University of Illinois. And quite honestly, in my experience with her, she's a change agent. Right? She's willing to have the conversations and take on complex and difficult projects fearlessly, and does that through basically developing high-performing and diverse teams. So I think she's a great example to many of us that are trying to do things differently in our world and accomplish things in from different methodologies. Vic, if you can drop the slides, that's great. We'll get Andrea up here. Perfect. So Andrea, we have a short window here, so I want to kind of get into your story because I think it's an important one. Many of us, if you haven't, then you have an experience that you probably will have an unplanned event showed up. So I think women in general are very planned by nature. We're intentional. We have this, vision of what our world is going to look like and what our career is going to look like. And we just kind of keep knocking down the benchmarks and the milestones. So I would love for you to share a little bit from a background perspective of where were you in your career when this unplanned event happened to you?
Great. So Sasha, thank you very much. And I'm so excited to get this conversation going. So I hope that this is just a start and that we continue conversation. So let me first go back a little bit on defining what that means to me, an unplanned career or an unplanned event that happened. And then I'll talk about the event itself. To me, as a strong person and a person that was taught very early in life that you've got gifts that are given to you and you just have to use them, and a family that expected me to actually leave the world better than I found, I always had an idea, a visual of what I wanted to do with my career. So step one, step two, and the set of skills that I wanted to learn in order to achieve that ultimate vision and the ultimate person that I wanted to be in terms of our career. So knowing that I needed to make change every so often was part of my plan. So those are not unplanned activities. Unplanned activity to me is something that what I would define before this event was something that an opportunity or a challenge that happened that made me think, okay, the path that I'm in is not the right one. That's what I thought before I had this particular experience that I'm going to share with you about. So once, where was I at when this actually event happened? I was already a senior leader. I had been a senior leader for many years in higher education. And as you mentioned, I was at M&A before in the financial market. I was operating under the same set of guiding principles that guide my life and also my professional life. And with that transformative CIO kind of component in me, I am not a keep the lights on person. I'm a person that is brought in to actually take us to the next level. So while doing that, as I normally did for, at that time, by almost 30 years of being in the workplace, I was faced with a situation where the foundation of my beliefs actually were shocked. And I received what I can best describe it as a 2x4 hit in my face. And I was out of town when that happened. And it became a very public and very ugly situation. So what happened there was that I trusted the leadership of an organization, and I trusted a particular person. This was mostly hurtful, and it's taking me time to heal because it was a friend that brought me there, and it was a friend that made a decision to not do the right things. And that it became one of those things that we as Americans are not good at. We only listen to headlines. And as technologists, we should know actually to go after the actual facts and figure out what the facts are. It became one of those things where I was played off in the media to actually mask what was going on at that particular institution. So when it hit me and I got back to town and made a joke about it, I said, you know, the outlaws coming back to town, met with my team and met with that person, because at that point, I believed that that person was still going to do the right things, and realized very quickly that it was not going to happen. I then, you know, with the 2x4 and the bruises and the public shaming, had to actually resign and move back to Illinois and have a little bit of a time in Illinois. So what was it that shocked me most about this particular thing is that I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect it, because up to that point, I believed that as long as I'm doing my job, as long as I have integrity, as long as I am doing what is expected to be done in the right way and the way that I can be proud of, grit, folks, as long as I'm doing that, I'm going to be successful. And up to that point, I didn't have to look for jobs. I mean, everybody wanted to hire me. Why I jumped into higher ed is because I was successful in M&A. Everybody knew it. I built a reputation, and I built and nurtured that reputation carefully. And this thing took me down to a level that I never expected. So that's where I was at, Sasha. So I'll let you ask me questions so I can go as deep or as broad as you would like.
So from that perspective, right? You actually covered like 3 of the questions I was going to ask you. So thank you. Efficient. What were, I mean, you kind of covered some of those, you know, misaligned expectations. Can you maybe talk a little bit about the emotions, right, related to that, like the things that you experienced when I would call it a betrayal is how the best I can describe it.
Actually, that's the best word, and why it shocked me, right? Because I don't expect to use betrayal in a professional career, and I did. I had to do that. So I am Italian, folks, and Italians feel everything all the time at once. So we have emotions going on all the time, but I translate that into passion. So I choose to put my efforts into what I feel passionate about. This actually created such a situation for me that emotionally hit me to a level I never expected and never been at. So Sasha asked me if I would be willing to be vulnerable, and I am. And I'm sharing with you things that I normally don't share with folks. And I know I'm in a public environment, and I know that I'm talking to folks that might not know me, but I think the story is important. So it got me so badly that I don't remember crossing the 5 state lines that I had to from where I was to Illinois. My husband sent an army of folks, my team and my job helped back me up. I was packed within, I'm not exaggerating, 4 hours. I was in a car, and I know that I drove 11 hours with my husband on the drive, but I don't remember any of that. I remember that I got to my house, I went into my bedroom, and I did not get out of my bedroom for 3 weeks. I'm not exaggerating. I had my husband, I had my son that is a grown son checking on me. I had a parade of close friends that were there holding my hand, letting me cry. And I'm not a crier, I'm a fighter. So if somebody comes after me, I'm gonna get after them. But it hit me emotionally so badly because it hurt me publicly, and I felt ashamed publicly. I owned the mistake, that it was not a mistake that I should have owned. I didn't make a mistake. The mistake was that institution. They broke the law. They didn't do the things that needed to be done. The leadership backed out and was weak, and still, if you're following the breadcrumbs, go look it up, and you know that they all fell apart. Everybody was fired and left. But you know, the point was, I felt so emotionally drained that I could not get out of bed for 3 weeks. And the folks that were around me were people that were not business people. They were my friends, and they were my family, saying to me, listen, we're going to let you're going to stay there and wallow and cry and eat, you know, Rocky Road ice cream and do what you need to do for the time that you need to, but we're going to get you out of this. You're going to be able to get out of this. And I couldn't see that for those 3 weeks. My husband called my doctor. I did talk to my daughter, did not take any medication. I don't take aspirin, folks, so I did not take that. But that conversation with my doctor was key, because it was an unbiased person saying, listen, this is all baloney. What is this all about? This doesn't reflect on you. And having a doctor telling you this is kind of a funny thing. So I went back to my house after that day on seeing the doctor, and all of my friends were there, an intervention of types, folks. And they all said to me, they had whiteboards in my fireplace. I'm not kidding. So I had like almost like a war room set up in my living room and with my fireplace. And they were walking me through what their perception of me as a professional was. It was not about me as a person. was me as a professional, because I felt so hit on that side of me. And I identify myself so much with who I was career-wise that they needed to actually use that thread. It was not about the person, it was about the career. And literally they did this, and it was a 3 hours event that they did. And after that, that fight sentiment that is normally part of me came out and said, why am I sitting here doing this? They did this. Everybody saw that this happened. Why? Why is it that I feel that way? And why is it that I'm not fighting this? So emotionally, and it drains you, and it puts you in a position of being very weak, and puts you in a position, and for me, for the first time in my entire life, and folks, I am on north of 50, so just to give you an indication where I'm at, first time in my life after 50 where I felt that I was not good enough for something, that I as a person had not accomplished what I needed to. And it took me a time, and that emotional hit is real. What I did for myself, and I think it's important for you to know, is that I gave myself time to heal. I wasn't consciously thinking that, Sasha, but I gave myself time to heal. I needed that 3 weeks. I needed that time with my friends to make sure that the platform by which I was planning my future did not include the hurt. Now, it still hurt, folks, still hurts. And it's still in my mind, but it's not raw. And I needed that time to heal.
So, Andrea, can you talk a little bit about, like you just touched on it, like the network and the importance of having a support group? Can you maybe talk a little bit about, because not everybody has the same, we talked about this, husbands, friends, right? Who, talk a little bit more about that support network and how somebody can build that up, because I think it's important, not just when you go through an event like this, but anytime there's challenges going on in your career.
Yes. And I want to make a distinction between regular networking and networking to the level that I'm talking about. That is the people that will stand by you, even if you do make a mistake. The people that are going to stand by you, even if there's something that is going to put down at peril, is an advocate to you. So I'm a people person. So I have created networks all over the place. And I know a lot of people. I have a lot of folks that I connect with, and I can count on. But a lot of the folks, the higher I got in the leadership position, the more I saw that there were people there wanting to, and this is normal, folks. I'm not saying I'm unique. People that were around me because they wanted to learn from me and or take advantage of opportunities that I might have been able to open doors for them for. And that is okay. That kind of networking is great because I want that. I want people to, and I'm a connector. I love connecting people with opportunities that they want to have, and I love that. But building a community, a group of people, and it does not have to be large. In my case, are 6 people in my life out of 37 years of being in a career in a professional world. There are 6 people that I know are going to call me and say, "What the heck are you thinking?" They might use a little bit more explicit language. They might say, "What the hell are you thinking?" They might say, "Andrea, you are so funneled. Thinking about this, you're not thinking about that." And they're also my cheerleaders. "Andrea, go fight. Andrea, no, don't do this. Have you thought about this? You told me this. You told me to protect you on this part." You need to have that set of networking people. And it cannot be just the people that work with you. It cannot be just people that are in the industry. It cannot be just people that are friends with you. In my opinion, it has to be a mixture of folks that will have the opportunity to get to know you, get to know the vulnerable you, get to know what is it that you really want out of life. Things that we don't tell people, right? What is it that you want to do? I tell everybody what I want to do because no one believes it. I want to fix the Office of the Control of the Currency in the federal government. That's what I want to do. What the heck am I doing as a CIO? I can tell you that over a cocktail. Why did I believe I needed to be in this to try to get to that someday and help the federal government fix that? It will probably be in my retirement. But we never tell people that, but we need to be able to tell folks about what are your levers? What is important to you? And that does take a lot of introspective, but also a lot of time and energy to engage people in a different way that you would engage normal networking. When you go to a cocktail party or you go to a sim event and you get to know people and you communicate with them on LinkedIn, there's that level, but there's also the level of really being connected with folks.
So do you have a way of measuring those people? And I'll give you an example of that, Andrea. I mean, in my life, I tell people, look, there's a difference between, the people you really love, the friends you really love, the people you really care about, you're willing to tell them the truth, right? Like it's easier just to pass if it's someone that you care about, but you aren't necessarily that invested. If the people that are really your friends tell you the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, kindly, right? But they, are there ways that you delineate or test that?
Yes. And it is, I don't think it's deliberate on my part, Sasha, but it starts with a conversation. Like, I have no doubt, I told about sex, and I think I shared that with you earlier, that you are somebody that can become that seventh person in my life. And I'm not saying this just because you're interviewing me now, but I feel comfortable telling you things about myself, and you have been reciprocating that. So that reciprocal part is one of the ways that I measure people, right? Are they coming in as the genuine selves? The older we get in our careers, you pick up on signs when people are there really wanting to know who you are, people that really want to learn from you, people that really want to be there, advising or helping or being part of your world, or people that are just there, and that is okay, but people that are just there because it's interesting. And I am a fun person, so you might want to be around me just because I make you laugh every so often, right? But genuine exchange is one of the metrics for me, Sasha. The next one is when somebody actually reaches out to me and say, I just went through this. Help me think about this. Have you ever been through that? So they are themselves, being human and being vulnerable and being open to somebody's opinion. And they might not have been somebody on my circles. That's another one that shows me. But the ultimate one, and that it takes time, is once you go through something, and in my case, when I had thousands of people around me and suddenly they disappeared and there are only hundreds of people around me, then you say, wait a minute, what happened to everybody else, right? What happened to all of these people? And this happened when you talk to folks that have gone through unplanned events in their career, you hear that. That's a pattern, that a lot of people disappear. And that the immediacy is, I don't want the light to shine on me if I am around that person. And as a human being, that is a horrible thing to do, right? Because you are isolating that person, you're doing that. But as a professional too, is that no, we need to learn from each other. And people do make mistakes. And trust me, I have made mistakes in my career. This one was not one of them. The mistake I made was not doing what I believe that I always do, which is trust by verify. I trusted the person and I did not verify, right? So I got myself caught in that. But we got to, that's another sign, is to see how people react in light of seeing the people around them. When there is somebody that actually had an unplanned event or something happened to them, what do we do? Do we vilify the person? And if you are part of my team, you hear that I do not. And when somebody starts vilifying people, I literally get off my seat and I say, that will not happen in front of me. We are not vilifying people. You can talk about the action, you can talk about this, but not vilifying people. The true people, the genuine way that people react, Sasha, help me measure up. But I got to tell you, it's not deliberate. I'm not, when I'm meeting you, I'm not saying, here's my checklist. I'm going to evaluate Sasha against it. It's not that way. But, it takes time. And by the time you get to be part of that circle, we have gone through that life cycle with me.
So from a perspective of really quickly, I guess you briefly talked about how do you move forward, right? From you talked about like your friends and family kind of interviewing, saying, here's some of the things. Is there anything you would want to add to the other things that helped you kind of get out of that? And then the next thing I want to move to is like the red flags, right? What did you miss in that process? So that might have given you some warning.
Yeah. So advice first is heal. Give yourself time to heal. And that means for us, we need to have a financial backing. Make sure if you're not saving for 6 months of your career, folks, do that. Okay. You need to have the peace of mind that you're not going to fall apart if you lose your job, or if there's an opportunity, you are put into a position that the job is terminated.
Not sure. So, can everyone hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Andrea. I can hear you as well.
All right. Sasha, did we lose you?
I think it's me.
Okay. I'm sorry. So the first one is we need to make sure that we are, that we have a little bit of money on the side, because we don't want to exacerbate the derailment of our careers because some planned activity happen. So having that is, to me, is a number one. Make sure that you have something, for a cloudy day, some financial part. Second is have a very clear picture that you are going to have to heal. If you do not give yourself time to heal, you're going to carry that hurt to the next opportunity, even without knowing. And you might lose the opportunity because you have not been able to let go of whatever had happened there. I'm not saying let go of the lesson. I'm saying let go of the hurt. So making sure that you have a clear mind and you allow yourself time to heal. It could be 1 week, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. It's up to you to figure that out. And then the third is really having a very clear picture of your must-haves. Now that you have that lesson, what did I miss? You asked that, Sasha. What did I miss in the last time? What I missed in that particular situation was precisely that I put a lot of stock on a personal relationship with the person that was bringing me to that opportunity. I trusted that person. I knew that person for over a decade. That person was a colleague in a previous institution. And I did not validate that the culture of the organization that I was going to and this person really had other sides to them. Could I have seen that? Once I was going through the evaluation period after the first 3 weeks, my team, when my colleagues that were, my friends that were using the whiteboard that I mentioned to you, they were pointing out, you told me this red flag. You told me this red flag about that person and about that institution. You told me this red flag. And when I saw it in front of me, for that period of time, there were red flags all around before I accepted the job and while I was there. And I did not watch for that because I trusted the person. So lesson, trust but verify. Okay, it's okay for you to have a trust in a person and then you believe that that person is a person of integrity and they are giving you that opportunity. But at the end of the day, the red flags don't go away because they are people that you like or you trust. You've got to be protecting yourself. So that would be a big lesson for me on what I did. I missed that. And the red flags were there, folks, because I was the one telling everybody else. So they heard it, but I just didn't see it all together. I didn't connect the dots while I was in the middle of the situation.
So from that perspective, can you, I apologize because I had a little bit of internet connection problem. So I wanted to make sure, can you give examples of like what types of red flags, like what are some things that people were pointing out to you? I don't know if you can speak on that or not.
Oh, I can I can use several examples. So I am somebody that believes that you need to do a real search to hire people, right? So that person before I went there was saying, I have a way of just installing you. I don't want to do a search. How about if we just come and I'll just put you in there? And I fought that one and I said no, because I strongly believe that the organization needs to hire me, evaluate me, and I also have to evaluate people. If I don't have a search mechanism, I can't evaluate people, right? I only can evaluate the person hiring me. So that was one red flag, because why was that person trying to force, making it, going around the table and putting me in a position? Second one was I found, my team had found several compliance issues associated with how the business process of that institution worked. And I brought it up to that person and that person said, I'll take care of that. It was never taken care of. And I trusted that that person was taken care of. Now, it wasn't IT related, it was process of the institution, but it was not. Now, it ended up being part of the compliance issues that happened after I was gone. But I knew that there were issues there. I knew, but I was bringing it up to the people, but I was not following up on it. When there was a situation with a previous leader, a leader in a different area, where they vilified the guy publicly. They did a massive campaign against the person. And I was there when that happened. And I kept asking, wait, why are we doing this? You all did this. It was not that person. Well, whatever. That should have been a mark to me, right? My goodness, it happened to a guy just a year before me. And I did not, literally, I kept thinking to myself, I never connected to myself like, if this is what they are, this is what the organization is. I did not connect those dots. And these were examples that I saw. Those red flags were, red doesn't describe it. Neon, they were like, the lights are flashing, and I, for some reason, was not picking up on it until it happened to me. Did we lose Sasha again?
I'm back.
Sabi has a question. Can I answer his question, Sasha, or you have other questions?
Please, if anyone has a question, please ask it.
So it disappeared from my chat. Sabi, do you mind saying it out loud, please?
So I'm driving
It
right
basically
now.
says, as you reflect back.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sasha.
As you reflect back to the incident, how has it helped you become a better leader?
It is absolutely
become a better leader who you are now. Would you consider,
absolutely?
Would you consider that as
and how did that make me a better leader? Is especially because I can tell my story and I tell the story to my teams and my executive folks on explaining to them that when you're talking about taking risks in your career and taking risks in your life, that you need to be aware of things might not work out the way that you need to be, that you have to understand that the decisions you're making have consequences, right? And that some of them are not due to anything that you do. Grit alone does not make you a successful leader. So this is important to understand, and also understand that we have to work very hard, and I do this as a leader, and that's made me a stronger leader, using that message that it's about time for us, it's past time for us as leaders to stop the narrative of finding a person to blame when something goes wrong. It's never just one person's fault, okay? And then we need to teach ourselves and everybody else on social media, right? That facts do matter. Headlines are great to selling the article or to getting more people to respond to you, but facts do matter. As a leader now, when somebody comes to me, and I have some of my team members sitting here today, and you can ask them directly, when they come to me and say, let's pick on somebody that doesn't exist, Alex Brink. When Alex Brink comes in, oh, Alex is a problem, and he did this and created this situation, I do this immediately. And it is an opportunity for me as a leader to say, let's talk about the issue. And if it is a professional development opportunity for Alex, then let's talk about what we need to do to that. So it has made me a much more in tune leader to the human side of being a leader, Sabi. So yes, it is a gift. Leona, you asked, why do I think I ignore the red flags and I'm using my heart as much as I can here, because I believed in a person. And so this was a personal friend of mine, and I totally, and I don't say that person's name anymore. Amy laughs every time I use this. He is Voldemort, the one that is I'm never gonna say his name ever in my life. But it was because it was personal, it hit me personal that a friend allowed that and used me as a pawn in this business. So I think that's why I ignore the red flags. And there has to be, as leaders, we can like people. I enjoy a lot of the people I work with. I go out to margaritas with people. I go out to wineries. But there's a line between being a leader and being factual and not, triangulating information, because you as a leader need to be doing that, while not ignoring when there's something in your gut, there's something saying there, let's look beyond the person and look at the issue, and the red flags would have been much clearer to me. I am moving my chat here to see if I have more questions. Go ahead, Sasha.
I think you're okay. I was going to say, maybe you can speak a little bit to how, like you talked about it being a gift. Maybe you can speak a little bit to how, once you came out of it, right, you're entering back into a new role. How did that impact kind of your psychology, or how did you get your confidence back, even to interview, like you mentioned, never having to interview before?
Yeah, and it was very, very hard. So let me make it very clear. I applied because I decided at that point that I didn't want higher education anymore, because I wrote everything off and I said, higher education is the problem. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to go back to the private sector, where it's, in my opinion, at that point, it's more rational. Grit actually matters more, and being outcome driven and strong and visionary is better. So I applied for dozens of jobs, and I was getting no response, zero response. And I was blaming it all on the reality that I was publicly shamed. And it took me a while, and I sat down and I said, okay, let me work on myself. And I hired, I had that financial backing. I hired a company that could work with me on my resume and work with me on mock interviews, and then to tell the story without the hurt showing, so that I would have an opportunity to tell my story without showing the hurt, and showing that I've learned from that. And what I've learned from that is I'm resilient. I learned from it that I am adaptable and agile, and I learned to be a better leader because of that, because I saw the worst of being a leader. So I hired somebody that could help me with those tactical things that you need to do, create your LinkedIn profile better and all of this, so that you would not hide the experience that you had, but actually tackle front end. What I did to actually gain my confidence back, Sasha, because that's your question, was actually going and applying for jobs in higher education. Because in higher education, because I have the past few years that I have been in the 20 years that I've been in higher education, and I have my own network, I knew that people would go past the articles and the headlines. So I did that to gain my confidence. It was not that I was going to go back to higher education until I got two offer jobs, and I got to the second and third interviews on two jobs, one Oregon State University where I'm at, and one on the East Coast that I won't say who it was, so polar opposites of the country. And I said, in interviewing them, I was much more deliberate, and I went as far, and I think some of the people that work here know, I went as far as to hiring a firm to do background checks on the leaders of my organization. I went that far, okay? Because I needed, because I'm a high level person, I needed to know that I was not walking in to the same situation I walked in the last door. So I hired people to do the background check for us. And by the way, it's legal, all right? Because they have to do background check on me. So it is legal. You hire somebody and they do background check on the leaders, okay? Because I was not going to walk in to a situation where knowingly these people had, $500 million of lawsuits against them because of X, Y, and Z, right? I didn't do the due diligence before. I was doing the due diligence this time. And by doing the safe environment, what I consider a safe environment, Sasha, higher ed, where you can have those conversations, say, here, this is what happened, and people know that organization. So it became almost like, oh my gosh, why did you ever go there? I mean, you should never have gone there. Don't you know that that's what happened there? It became that, and then it was a community that didn't know me that was supporting me. So my confidence grew up. So I was almost ready to go back to trying the private sector when these two jobs came in. I'm like, oh my gosh, Oregon State University was by far the leadership, the vision, and aligned with what I needed to do myself for those career goals that I want to get to the federal government. I thought this was the right place to go. But I was testing in a safe environment, what I consider safe, because higher ed is my business, right? It has been my business for 20 years. That's how I got it back.
So we have a couple of questions. Elise asked one about how you incorporate some of your lessons, and you touched base on that. So I figure we'll try and wrap. Is there anything else that lessons learned, right, that you took into your next job search?
Understanding that I cannot expect the people that work with me to be standing tall with me when challenges come. So I have a group of people that work with me all the time. They like me, they enjoy me, they provide cheerleading and all of that. But I need to remember that they are here to do a job, and my job is to make sure they're successful and the institution is successful. I need to fill the tank of being me outside on that separate group of people that are the people that are there for me no matter what. Okay? It's not that I'm not investing on people, and I am, and I spend a lot of time, because it's my passion, to invest on leaders coming behind me. But I'm not expecting them to fill that tank. That tank is being filled someplace else. Before, I didn't separate my professional self to my personal self. And now I do have a separation. Okay, so I learned that. And it's making my leadership, the clarity of the steps that I need to take on leadership, much open for me, which I'm surprising, right? I have a business and an MBA. Leadership is what I've been trained to do. But it was not until this experience where I really saw the need for separation for me to have a very clear, this is a role that you play. It's not who you are, although I'm very genuine and I'm very, I'm not two different people, but I don't share the full self, and I don't expect my tank to be filled by this set of activities. Here's where I expect it to get it. That makes it very clear and actually propels me even faster to move towards where I need to get done. Because I know that I'm going to get, in both cases, because I need both to survive and to get where I want to go. I will get it. But I don't expect now the miracles to happen in one place only.
That's great advice. So we have a couple more questions in here. We've got Brandon Gaffey, who asked a question in weighing opportunities. I know he's one of your friends, right? In weighing opportunities stemming from unexpected changes, such as trust, but verify, what additional ideas should we consider? I'm assuming that we all do introspectives, and we have that little list of we're not going to negotiate on. That's an important thing to have, because if you, when you are faced with this, especially have a family, if you are earlier in your career, you don't have the 6 months of financial, you might have to make a decision very quickly. And if you don't have that, I'm not talking about the very long list, but the 3 things that you're not going to negotiate on. No matter what, the opportunity can be awesome, but if those 3 things are not there, you are not going to take the job.
making that very clear to you and having that in my opinion, is something that you also should have. And then invest on networking, getting to know people and trying to get that group of folks, no matter where they are. They don't have to be only here. Although Sim and BDX, these folks are so open. I mean, you guys have opened your hearts to me and ours to me. I feel very fortunate to be here. Take advantage of this, right? But create that and go in other places and create that group of folks that will tell the truth about what's going on and provide that guidance when you need it.
So Andrea, I do have a question, which I'm going to kind of throw out, and I'll go through a couple else. In regards to one of the things I found in my career that I didn't recognize until later on is I could actually deal with a whole bunch of different skill sets as long as my values align with people. And I don't mean like your religion, but just like the things that were important to me. And I found that I could not work with people, right, when I had a misalignment, and that could be both leadership. And I feel like you're speaking to some of this. Have you experienced any of that in your life, or do you have any thoughts related to that statement about alignment of values with the teams that you work with and the people that you work for?
Yes. And in fact, when I hired the person to actually do the background check, the interview that they did with me was, tell me what do you want to find alignment with? Because I kept saying that. I want to see if I'm aligned with this organization, right? So I did talk about values that are important to me. Like say what you do what you say. And I'm not talking about the spinning of marketing that we do. I'm talking about you one-on-one, mano a mano. When you say that you're going to invest on that, say that you mean it. Things change, I get it, but do that. Ethical behavior. When there were tough decisions to be made, did you actually do that, right? So that is important to me, and I will not ever again be in a situation where the red flags are there or that the evidence is there that there is unethical behavior and be part of that. No way. I'm never going to be participating in that again. And then the third one that is very valuable to me, Sasha, is I want to be in a place where not everybody's like me. In fact, my father tells me often that the world is not ready for two of me, and I mean it is not. I don't want anybody like me. I want people that are different than me, people that can provoke me. I use that word a lot in my team. Provoke me into thinking differently. We have great arguments, and arguments is good for me. Tell me, make me think. I want to see that. If I go into a place where I have bobbleheads, and I hope that you never work in places like that where you're the leader and you say, yep. They go back and there's the parking lot conversation that is really the opposite. I want that. So those things are alignments of value to me, Sasha. So I have a list of 6 or 7 that I used for that particular engagement that I test all the time, and I agree, and it's still core to me. These things are important to me, and I have to be aligned with the organization to be able to be the best that I can be as a professional.
Great. Thank you. We got a couple more here. So let's see, from Kristen, knowing the lessons you know now, what is your perspective of the personal relationship we should build with our direct leaders? Are there boundaries you would caution against?
I'm going to answer that question directly, but my team is going to say, what? And the people from OSU on this call. I report directly to a phenomenal leader that has done nothing but done exactly what I expected based on what I learned from him. But I do not have a personal relationship with him, okay, on purpose. In fact, he invites people to go to his house for drinks. We go to things, and I don't. Okay, I do have conversations. I do attend events for the institution, but if it is just to get to know or be close to it, I deliberate because it's me. This is my protection. And remember that healing process that I told you about? I did heal a lot, but the hurt's still there. And I'm not yet. I've been here for 3.5 years. That other person I knew for, literally 15 years. It's going to take a while. I'm not saying that my leader is going to do that, folks, but I'm saying I'm guarding myself, right? I'm protecting myself. So I don't. So my suggestion is, it's personal to you, right? But to me, I have a separation between the leader and me on the personal level. In fact, I'm not exaggerating. There was a situation on the parking lot just a week and a half ago. There was a car that no one could identify, and it is next to the administration building. So there was a security issue. And my leader texted me, asking me what do I drive? He didn't even know what I drove, and I parked next to him every single morning. Okay, so to me, it's important. It's important for that separation. So I would caution having a deep personal relationship that clouds your judgment. If it doesn't, if you're one of those people that can separate, and I thought I was, folks, and I learned that I am not that good. I thought I was, but I'm not that good. on separating, I would caution about having a personal relationship with the person that you directly report.
Thank you. Okay, we've got one last question. Sabi's going to ask a good one, which is, let's say we meet in 10 years from now and you tell me, Sabi, these are the 3 things that will make you lead a successful life as a leader. What would those 3 things be?
First one, actually be your authentic self. Question, because being a fake leader, everybody picks up on it, and it dilutes your ability to be a leader, period. Second, remember that it is humans. Leader is not the one that can write the best strategic plan or that can ask for the money. No, it's humans. So it's human-centric business. And third, expect out of your teams and of yourself to get bruises while you're growing. Provide that environment that is safe for your employees to make mistakes, especially leadership mistakes, and allow them to grow. If you don't get bruises throughout your career and you get to be a CIO and you have never had a bruise, you will not be the best leader that you could have been.
Right. If the bottom line is you're going to get burnt or you're going to fall if you actually take risk, and you can't really innovate without risk. So thank you for that. I think we're close to getting time. So unless there's I could take one more question if there's another question out there. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap. Any other questions out there? So Andrea, I'm just going to express our gratitude. You shared a really difficult story. And I think part of our point of being here today, right, was to let everybody know that they're not alone. I think most people will experience something like this. So I think what's really important, we're hoping the community here and others will realize that they're not alone. So thank you for sharing kind of your journey through that, what you did. And I think we all leave here probably reevaluating who do we have in our support network, which is important. So thank you again. And thanks to everyone who took your lunch hour to attend.